What's up? Welcome to yet another installment of the very first to debut redundant description episode of Shadow of the Tomb Raider Collectibles Guide. This is for Cozumel and also the Peruvian forest. Starting in Cozumel, I'm going to be organizing all the items in order of appearance, so just pay attention to the surroundings of the items whenever I collect them, and then you'll know where to look for them. I didn't exactly have the good sense to cut to a map screen after finding everything, so just kind of look around and you'll know when you're at a certain point where an item is, but I'll also give some directions whenever it's a little more complex, such as with this next one. So in the same room that we just collected that last survival cache, actually take a right in this hallway here, and wall jump up to the top floor, where we'll find 2 collectible items, including one of the ones that are actually worth giving directions for. But I'll go into more detail on the challenges versus the collectibles later on. After that, you're going to go underwater for the next collectibles. One of them is going to be right in that main lobby area. The other one you're going to have to go off underground, kind of in the area where we went up into that second story. So after that, you can just kind of relax for a little bit until you get to this area here, where you can go ahead and shoot that guy and climb up to the top, grab this other collectible, and then there's a couple of kind of hidden tricky ones. Now note that you might not have access to every item as soon as you find it, such as not being fluent in a language, so not being able to read the monuments. But until then, this video will show you where those things are, so that whenever you do have access to them, you can go ahead and backtrack and collect those items you missed. Now I sped up the footage of Lara climbing a little bit here, since it kind of takes a while to do that. But in this little hidden section, you're going to find a survivor cache, and also the most important item to find, I think, the Explorer backpack. That, along with the map, just shows you where every other item is. So, as long as you can find those, you don't really need a guide for the rest of the collectibles, aside from the challenges, of course. But more on that later. For now, you just climb across this area to look for the big treasure box. As you can see, I didn't have the lockpick to access it quite yet, so gonna have to come back for that one later. Anyway, that wraps up Cozumel. So now for the Peruvian forest, I'm going to organize things in order, starting with showing you where to find the 2 maps and the 2 book bags. Now for the forest, I'm just going to start with the map and the backpacks, since with those you can find all the other collectibles except the challenges, which I'll show right after anyway. Then I'd probably not expect you to stick around and watch the rest of the video unless you think my voice is awesome. So this is probably the last installment of the inaugural Shadow of the Tomb Raider Collectibles Guide. Unless it'll, actually help, and I'll do another one, I don't mind. But I'll probably do a map and book bag and challenge guide for the whole game after this video, who knows. On to business. The last map is a little bit tricky to get to, since you gotta backtrack up this hill right after you get into that fight where those guys are following you around with the guns. But once you have it, you'll have everything for the Peruvian forest. Find the first ruffled feathers one hanging off to the left of where you light your first campfire. One thing I'll mention about the climbing trees challenge with the finding feathers and branches is I'm not sure if they're randomly generated or specific locations, but if they are specific locations, here's the footage. Sometimes Lara will look at something, so trust her when she's gazing in a particular direction, because usually something important is there. Like right here, she's letting me know where a challenge item is. Again, not sure if these locations are randomly generated or specific, but here's where I found my second one. And then third. So far they don't really seem to be repeating. You'll find this next one kind of near where that plane crashed, where you first get your equipment back. This one is wherever this one is at. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But if those surroundings look familiar, then, you found your mark. I sped up the footage again here. It's a bit to the left of the area facing the cliff you need to cross to progress the story, though you can't actually access it until you do and then get your climbing axe. So head over into this hidden cave to find the Peruvian jungle's treasure box. There's also a document on the floor, but I'll show that later in the video. For this next compilation, I'm just going to be quiet, because I don't exactly remember where I found every little thing. I know the first one's right by the first camp. Some of them are kind of obvious, but, just keep an eye on the surrounding areas of the clips, and then you'll kind of have a general idea of where I found everything, I think. So, Sorry about that. If I ever make another video, I'll definitely make sure to put the map information as well. For now, none of that. Sorry. Alright, so I'm gonna kind of speed up here and cut these clips a little bit short, just for the sake of keeping this video a decent thing to watch in one sitting. I'm not trying to make it a 10-minute ordeal, you know? So, I'm not gonna show her picking up every item, but just pay attention quickly, pause if you have to, and just kind of see where every item is. Now these collectibles for the most part are easy to find because they're either right along the path you have to go for the story, or located in tombs also, but I included it just for the sake of completion. Besides, a couple of them are kind of easy to miss if you're not careful. Now for the exciting ones to find, which are the survival caches. Some of these are right along the path that you take to complete the game. Other ones are kind of well hidden. I actually did have to use the map info to find one of them. Just one. I'm usually pretty good about it. Alright, now, if you run along this thingy, then jump down and don't die, then there's a cache there, I guess, or something. I don't know. You try. Or go around through here safely. I mean, you know, whatever you want to do. Now, supposedly the cache is located between these snakes. I actually looked it up because I spent like 3 hours backtracking. I never got a trigger for it though, despite deciphering the monument and kind of checking out that area earlier. But, see if it works for you. Sorry to leave you guys hanging on the final cache, because that's not where it's supposed to be located, but it's not on the map either, so no idea on that one. I apologize.